Well, hello, and welcome to Opal City Confidential, a Starman podcast, and episode 33, where we will be covering the Will Payton Starman, that's Starman Volume 1's issues 9 and 10, Starman vs. Blockbuster, guest starring Batman. I was excited to read these, and it was the excitement, the reading pleasure matched the level of my excitement, because I really did enjoy these two comics. Let me give you some basics on issue 9. Alright, so this issue was on sale March 2nd, 1989. Editor of the book was Robert Greenberger. It's got a great cover by Tom Lyle. Blockbuster punching Starman through the cover. Which is pretty cool. I liked it. A little old school there. The title of the story is Blockbuster. It's written by Roger Stern, penciled by Tom Lyle, inks by Bob Smith, colors Juliana Federer, letters Bob Pinna. Features Starman, Batman, Blockbuster. This is the first appearance of the Roland Desmond as Blockbuster. Roland had appeared in Detective Comics and is the brother of the original, who died in Legends. And I think this is the Blockbuster becomes a big baddie in Nightwing many years later. So this was cool, because this is the Blockbuster I know. I remember more recently. I did read a lot of, I've read maybe I have read a lot of Silver Age stories and everything. But this book is good. It starts with Starman's on patrol. He's flying back across from San Antonio to New Mexico, and he's over New Mexico, and he sees he flies over a diner, the Good Food Diner, and sees someone flying through the wall outside. He's unconscious, and he goes in, and there's this giant dude in a tattered red shirt and tattered pants throwing people around. The cook, Starman saves the cook by catching him, then slams into the baddie, which is, we're going to find out, is Blockbuster, and the whole building comes down. And when he pulls himself out, there's a guy in ripped up clothes, much smaller, with a mustache, but different guy hugging a suitcase. There's a very bad joke when when Will lifts the roof off him, he goes, where the devil did you come from? Baltimore. Which I thought was funny when I read it. So he asked the guy if he'd seen the mountain, the big guy, and he goes, no. The cook needs medical attention, and asks the guy that he's just rescued to wait for him. And he says, sure. And when Starman flies off, he kills the wounded cook. Then we cut to Batman, Bruce Wayne, and Alfred talking about Roland Desmond being on the run. Starman comes back to where the fight was, and people are missing. He finds out the cook was strangled, so he starts to be suspicious. And we go back to Bruce, and we get a flashback on the origin of the original Blockbuster, and the brother being crooked. Roland being captured by Batman and Robin, put behind bars, and was in and out of prison the whole time, because it's his fault that his brother became the first Blockbuster. But he was killed in Legends. He was smushed by Brimstone. More Batman, and then Jack, his dog, and his sister. Just some family stuff. Doing a little bit of old school. Let's have see what's going on in their home life. The domestic stuff, which I kind of like in a comic. Batman deciding to go west. Starman has dinner with a buddy of his, and we catch that the guy that was Blockbuster, the guy that got away, we knew had been the Giant. It's in a pharmacy, and he's stealing meds to turn himself back into Blockbuster. And he starts a ruckus, and Starman flies in, and there's a big brouhaha. The last few pages are a big fight. He throws Starman through several buildings, and he's about to kill him, and he just leaves. At that time, large helicopters landing out in the desert somewhere, and out comes the Batmobile, and over the radio goes, all stations copy, Blockbuster is headed north on foot. like a human locomotive. And Batman's there, and that's the cliffhanger. It was pretty good. If I sounded like it was disjointed, it wasn't. It was tightly written. It's Roger Stern, man. We got a little soap. We got a little domestic. We got the two different heroes going about moving forward to get him to the right spot. That's still, you're not wasting action where you don't need it. And you're doing character development, and then you end it on a really good 4 or 5 page fight scene. Tom Lyle and Bob Smith are doing a cracking job. It's a really good comic. It is a really good comic. And I want to talk about, there's a very big difference between this Blockbuster and the Silver Age one. And I do like the Silver Age one. He is a classic villain. But Roland becomes a mob boss in, I think it's in Nightwing. It's in McDaniel's era. And he's a great villain. This is just his birthing. So it's kind of cool because I know him from reading. I think he was the big bad in Nightwing when I read it years ago. But I enjoyed it. And it's going to lead up to the second part. I've got this synced up to where I'm lucky that each issues, the 2 issues, kind of like a little mini arc. So we're going to go to number 10. And that's got a great cover. It's Dark Night in Monument Valley. Batman's standing on one of the mesas. It's like a little itty bitty one, and Blockbuster and Starman are duking it out. I love it. It's a great cover. I like the yellow and purple. I'm starting to dig the yellow and purple costume a lot more. It's starting to grow on me. This comic was published on the 30th of March, 1989. There was a newsstand variant. Oh yeah, there would be a direct newsstand, which just means what was in the ISBN box is different. That is it. If it was direct market. It had a star. If it was newsstand, it had the ISBN, the code number. So it's a Tom Lyle cover. Like I said, it's great. Again, the title is Dark Knight in Monument Valley. Batman gets top billing. It's by Roger Stern. Tom Lyle pencils. Bob Lewis inks. Ooh, Bob Lewis. Okay. Michelle Wolfman colors. And Bob Penna letters. And this one starts with Starman passed out with his head through a fence, covered in plant life, and he's been well beaten. And the narration says, less than an hour ago, this man was having a good time, enjoying a game of basketball on TV with an old friend. But then came a news report of a raging man monster battling police, and Will Payton left the fun and games behind, assuming the identity of the powerful Starman. It appears he was not powerful enough. And the deputies come in, and they think he's dead. And Blockbuster is just running. He's super strong, so he's super fast. But he's a giant. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But he's running, and Batman is listening to the radio and knows that Starman, they need a trauma team. And Batman plays a recording of Justice League Files. Data check. Starman, capable of high-speed flight, can generate blinding light, blistering heat, limits unknown. Observed lifting toppled construction crane. Analysis suggests high-density body, unusually toughness, reported by John Jones follows. And that's cool. So, and Batman's starting to really think the new Blockbuster may be more powerful than the old one. And they try to use a defibrillator on him, and it doesn't work. And they're carting his body out, draped in a draped gurney, and it's shown on TV, and his sister, Jane, is losing it. And then his friend's like asking, the friend he was having dinner with asked Jane, do you know where his brother went? Because he disappeared to me. And she screams because she's hearing the news report. Because Will, on TV, popped up from under the sheet in the gurney, and he was all right. He was just a little out. He just had to regenerate. A little disoriented. He accidentally crushes the car door, but he gets up and he flies. He goes looking for him. And he's in a mood, man. Will's in a mood. He's flying through. And he ends up heading toward Navajo County. Navajo County. Ross, you're an idiot. The highway patrol on the radio saying don't go out. And then in this convenience store, in comes Blockbuster. He knocks 2 guys unconscious, steals some clothes, and then decide something. He's losing his power because he has to. Well, no, okay, now that's not right. He's taken so much of the drug or done so. He can normally turn the Blockbuster off, and he tries to, and it doesn't work. And he's stuck in that body, and he's pissed, and he kicks down the main support girder of the building, bring it down. And by the time Starman gets there, and it's empty, and who is in the rubble but Batman? And Batman recounts Roland's history and what's going on. Shows that he's already killed a bunch of people. And so Batman and Will are having a conversation. And Batman, after he's retold the origin, Batman goes, "Evidence I've uncovered indicates he's been taking massive doses of steroids, which trigger a transformation into Blockbuster." Will, sounds like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Exactly, unlike his brother. Desmond retains his intelligence as a Blockbuster, and he's now apparently trapped in monstrous form. When he realized that, well, this is the result. One of these men lived long enough to tell me about it. Starman, I don't doubt any of what you said, but how did you get involved in this? What's your connection? I put Roland and Desmond in behind bars. He escaped. I don't allow that. Starman, I believe you. But you really think you can stop him? No offense. He threw me through 3 buildings. Somebody else comes up who's seen him kidnap. It's the school bus driver, and he says Blockbuster's stolen a bus full of children. It is 1970s detective action plot twist. The bank robber, I guess, it's Jesus. I've seen it a dozen times on bad TV. But it's okay. It's okay. He pulls Blockbuster through the roof of the bus. Batman drives up beside the bus, jumps in, and takes the wheel. And he turns to the kids. Don't be afraid. I won't hurt you. No one will hurt you. Now, I won't let them. Very comic book Batman dialogue. Love it. Starman is carrying Desmond over the ground by his chin. And then he's screaming for, "You put me down, you freak." Down? Okay. And then he screams not from here as he falls 20 feet onto his back. It's a little dazed. He picks up a rock. Starman. What? Oh, wow. It's just they start beating the hell out of him. I'm just really enjoying this. I remember reading this last week, and he falls off the mesa. Yeah. Blockbuster, I forgot. Blockbuster, this is the part I forgot about. I love this. He's on top of the mesa. He picks up a rock. He wants to throw it at Starman, and the rock's so heavy it pulls him off, and he falls off that. And then Starman flies by, and he gets a full-body tackle, and he just flies Blockbuster around, throws him into the ground, makes a lot of dust in all the fighting, and Starman just finally knocks him out. It's a great fight. And then Batman shows up, and Batman's impressed. Starman flies off with Blockbuster, and Batman thinks to himself, so that was Starman. Still has a lot to learn, but he shows a lot of promise. I hope he can develop it without getting in too cynical. The world could use a few more like him. And Batman is right, because Batman's a hard ass, and Will Payton's an average guy, which is kind of why I'm really digging it. I thought these were 2 really good issues. I thought the art's freaking amazing. I'm loving his art more and more. It's a Roger Stern book, man. I think he always writes a good comic. It's always entertaining. I like where he's going with the characters. Since I know where Jane ends up, I want to see... really just want to see how good the relationship is between them and the writers, because I know Stern leaves at some point, and I forget who the other writer takes over. But it's important to me. I kind of like her. I always did. And I really like Will. I really do like Will. He's got that thing, the reason I like Wally. I think he's the same reason I like Kyle. There's a little more easygoingness to them other than their predecessors. And so I think it's great. And the purple and yellow costume, I'm really starting to dig it. I'm really, really starting to dig it. And I found Desmond, I see where someone else picked him up and used him in another book as a mob boss. I like the idea that he, the smart Hulk, but the bad guy. I even like the pencil mustache. It just works. And this is a good portrayal of Batman. This is the average. This is not. This is like perfect cartoon Batman, like Batman in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited and Dim. That kind of, I talk like this, I'm stoic Batman. I love that Batman. I like other Batmans too. I like the more in-depth ones where you get a little bit know more about Bruce. But, if you give me a basic, I am Batman, I'm pretty happy. And I like this Batman. I like the hokey little thought balloon at the end. It read like a Silver Age comic. I don't know if they were going for that, but for me, I think it helped that it had this Silver Age hero complementing a new hero. So there were some of the affectations of dialogue and thought and plotting. I don't know. I'm probably reading way too much into it, but they were a fun read, and I'm enjoying it. So, hey, this was a little late. I was going to have a guest, but things didn't work out, and I'm recording this by myself, so it's a real short one. I hope you enjoy it. I'm dropping this on October 7th, which is a Saturday. It's 4 days late. I've got two recorded shows that I could drop tomorrow. I haven't decided which one's going to go up when, so it'll be Fantastic Four-ish, and I'll have a guest. And then I will be back on Tuesday with the regular Starman, hopefully on Tuesday or Wednesday, and we'll cover a Shade story in Showcase, and the next Starman issue, which is kind of the epilogue to Sins of the Child. It's the palate cleanse, as we say, before we go into a times past and talking to David cycle. So, folks, thank you for listening. Hopefully I'll have a Legion one up in the next week or two. I think it's going to be every 2 weeks for a while I get my schedule settled. And I'm going to try to be on time, but if I'm not, just be patient, and I appreciate it. And as always, be safe, be smart, be kind to one another, please. And read some comics.